what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Victorious Ones podcast, the place where gaming meets comics meets sports meets movies as well as inspiration. Of course, I'm your host King Von Jr. Of course, you can follow me on social media on Twitter at 301 King Von Jr. You can follow the show's Twitter/X page at Victory Pod One. You can follow me on Instagram at Mr. King Von Jr. You can follow the show's Instagram page at Victorious Ones Podcast. I'm also the social media producer for the unpopular review wrestling show Perfect Plex Talk Radio. Of course, on Mondays, hosted by a friend of the program, Mike Knox. And so, of course, I hope everyone has a very happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. You know what I mean? So of course, I'm not gonna be here before long, but so of course, and by the way, for those that haven't been watching by way of YouTube, of course, youtube.com/@VonResper Jr. And then, of course, of course, this week I'm going to go into the week in wrestling as well as give an NFL recap. By the way, congratulations to my Dallas Cowboys for defeating the Washington Commanders or Commodores. Of course, on Sunday, that had to be a masturbation product. Not just the game of the week, but arguably even the game of the season. And of course, I had the privilege of being there. You know what I mean? So of course, it was absolutely an amazing moment. Anytime I'm at that game is always an experience. So of course, I'm going to go into my NFL recap. And this was week 12. So is the recap of NFL week 12. As we all know, of course, by the way, the Cowboys play tomorrow at 4:30. But yeah, like I said, as far as this past week that wrapped up week 12, the Browns defeated the Steelers 24-19. The Titans defeated the Texans 32-27. The Vikings defeated the Bears 30-27 in overtime. As I said before, the aforementioned Cowboys defeated the Commanders 34-26. Of course, on Sunday's game. Of course, that happened to be a 1:00 game, and that was a thrill. The fact that we won, because of Washington's mishaps as far as kicking. Like I said, it was definitely a game to go down, in the books, if you will, even without our franchise quarterback. Like I said, the Cowboys found a way to win 34-26. The Dolphins smashed the Patriots 34-15. The Chiefs defeat the Panthers 30-27. The Bucks destroyed the Titans 30-7. The Lions crushed the Colts 24-6. Broncos defeat the Raiders 29-19. The Seahawks defeat the Cardinals 16-6. The Packers defeat the 49ers 38-10. The Eagles crushed the Rams. The Eagles defeat the Rams 37-20. And the Ravens defeat the Chargers 30-27. So of course, it's pretty clear that Birds know how to win in Los Angeles. So as far as that's the recap of NFL Week 12, and of course, I say of course all the time, but Week 13 starts off with Thanksgiving games with the Bears and Lions, division rivals, at 12:30, followed by Cowboys. Of course, the Cowboys hosting the Giants, at Cowboys Stadium, AT&T Stadium, tomorrow at 4:30, followed by the Packers versus Dolphins. The Packers host the Dolphins at 8:20. So so that's the lineup to start off Week 13, and so of course, starting off with the week of wrestling, starting off with Friday Night SmackDown. And when I say that, we definitely in for quite a few surprises as far as this past Friday. But anyway, like I said, as far as Friday Night SmackDown, we see a triple threat match with Bianca Belair versus Blair Davenport versus Chelsea Green, and it's just so happened that Chelsea Green ends up winning. But here's the thing about it was, was that Bianca found herself working against both of them. But Chelsea Green and Blair Davenport were not exactly working as a well-oiled machine as, this wasn't exactly a handicap match situation. However, Bianca saw footage of Jade Cargill after she had been attacked and ran to the back to get help, while Chelsea Green and Blair Davenport continued their match. So Chelsea Green used Prettier to get the win, to get the pinfall over Blair. And so that's the reason why Chelsea ended up winning, because Bianca had to leave the match because she saw that the tag team partner had gotten attacked backstage, and we saw so the last image of Jade that we saw was her laying on the windshield of a car, and so she was just knocked out. Now she's become a meme herself. And so now, so of course now, the big question is who has attacked Jade Cargill. So there are definitely a number of names that have come up, from Naomi to Bailey, to Nia Jax. Even allegedly, probably even maybe Bianca herself, or Bianca and Naomi maybe sort of working behind the scenes together, allegedly, maybe. So this is sort of like the Scooby-Doo mystery now in terms of who attacked Jade, right? And so there's a part of me that, that there's a theory going around, I was saying that maybe Bianca attacked Jade, just because she's probably tired of having to carry her, or this could be Bianca's heel turn, and another one, a big one, is that allegedly it could be Naomi, maybe because of the fact that Naomi probably knows that she's the third wheel out of the big three, because of how Bianca and Jade outshine her and are bigger stars than her. So because she can't really be the leader of that faction, she can't really be the player one of that faction, if you will. There's talks that she attacked Jade, just to have a heel turn so that she could form her own big three with Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. So that one is definitely been flying around, to the point where Naomi herself had to put a poll up on Twitter asking people if they thought that she had attacked Jade, and so, and the thing is, majority said no, but the fact that she had to put that up, I mean, that seems pretty red flaggish, if you will, right? And I'm going to get into, the upcoming match that Bianca had with Nia, of course, later on in the week of wrestling. But yeah, of course, that's the big mystery flying around right now. And and of course, next up we have LA Knight versus Santos Escobar for the US Championship, and the winner of this match is LA Knight. So it's pretty solid, but we already knew who was going to win, and so setting up this feud with Nakamura before he was done with Legado Fantasma, made it pretty obvious that he was not going to lose the title on Friday. But of course, other than that, regardless, it was great to see Nakamura come back and chase gold. And so of course, as just said, the thing is LA Knight was ready to hit the elbow drop. That's when Shinsuke Nakamura appeared on the stage to try to distract him. Of course, that's when Santos Escobar hit Eric around from the top rope, followed by a frog splash. But but the thing is, LA Knight countered that finisher with BFT to pick up the win. Then he ended up getting attacked by Nakamura before he can even get to his feet. So like I said, the winner of that match is still U.S. champion LA Knight. Next up, we have Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens having their segment. So after Nick Aldis was shown asking Nia Jax if she was involved in what happened to Jade, then we ended up seeing Cody Rhodes walk to the ring for his face-to-face match, face-to-face interaction with KO. And Kevin Owens appeared in the crowd and he taunted him. He said everything that happened is Cody Rhodes' fault because he worked with Roman Reigns, who tried to end KO's career. And so in that aspect, I can see where Kevin Owens is coming from because, like, how dare you side with the guy, as I said before, with the guy that tried to end my career. Let's not forget 3 years ago, going on 4 years ago, almost, at the 2021 Royal Rumble during the Last Man Standing match for Roman's Universal Championship. Roman ran over Kevin with the golf cart. So he tried to end this dude by running him over. And especially with KO's beef with Roman and the Bloodline and how him and Sami teamed up to take the championships away from the Usos. In the main event of night 1, WrestleMania 39. Meanwhile, Cody was in the main event against Roman in night 2 of that same WrestleMania in Los Angeles, right? And after everything that Cody had been through with Roman before, so Kevin is like, how dare you side with the enemy? So as far as that, I respect Kevin Owens for keeping that same energy. But hopefully this is their way of writing Cody out of any type of like bloodline scenarios and stories and everything like that, right? And so but other than that, of course, they went back and forth for several minutes about who was right and who was wrong, but nothing new was really said or accomplished. There was a lot of some of the same talking points. It was definitely a filler segment that kept the feud going without having to advance any further. And of course, they both did great with what they were given. It was still very anticlimactic, right? So at least in this aspect, I don't want to sound biased, but to be honest with you, I'm Team KO in this situation. And honestly, whatever it takes to move Cody further away from any Roman affiliation, I'm all for it. So if this is the route they have to take, then so be it. Then we have Naomi and Bayley versus Candice LeRae and Tiffany Stratton. It's Tiffy time. So as I say, we see Bayley and Naomi team up to take on the two women who are both trying to be in Nia's good graces. Candice LeRae and Tiffany Stratton, of course, the women's champion, accompanied them to the ring. So then we see Tiffy and Candice argue over who would start and allow Naomi to hit a knee strike out of nowhere to take down the Money in the Bank winner. And of course, after the break, we see Tiffany and Candice get into another argument, but then stop them from being in control. So if anything, it motivated Candice LeRae to take down both Bayley and Naomi. It's pretty solid out, pretty decent. But had more than one sloppy moment and DQ. So of course then Sky runs down to make the save, but with Raquel Rodriguez and let Morgan show up to attack her. And this led to Rhea Ripley showing up with a kendo stick and a protective mask, another mask on the face, looked like Phantom of the Opera or something. And then she'll clear the ring to end the segment and continue to build for the women's War Games match. And so of course you win it by DQ, Bayley and Naomi. And I'm looking for whatever it takes for this Rhea and Liv storyline to end, because this has been dragging on for too long. If anything, this should end it at bad blood. So, I know that I'm not alone in this sentiment about this feud, because this is getting pretty long-winded and it's really leading nowhere at this point. So it's just like it's been feeling very repetitive. Next up, we have Montez Ford versus Tommaso Ciampa. After Ciampa cost the Street Profits a match last week, Montez was looking to get his revenge in a singles match. Angelo Dawkins and Johnny Gargano were not with him for the entrances. Ciampa took control early, but of course, Montez's physicality and agility allowed him to get the upper hand rather quickly in this match. And both of them are definitely lauded performances from lauded superstars and performers for multiple reasons. So no surprise, when they definitely stole the show in the main event of this past Friday SmackDown. And to see Ciampa, allow the show that, it was definitely refreshing, if you will, to see Tommaso Ciampa, being able to show off his aggression, which is definitely his trademark, especially in this feud with Gargano. So the thing is, he was a babyface most of the time on the main roster, with the exception of his short team up with the Miz. But a lot of fans who don't watch NXT may not be aware of how good Ciampa is. As a matter of fact, he was one of the building blocks for that. That original sort of like that the NXT black and gold, if you will, like the era with him and Gargano as DIY. They were definitely some of the building blocks for that time period, along with the Undisputed Era. So as far as that, Ciampa was definitely a cornerstone during that era of NXT. But the thing is, for those who didn't watch NXT, who still don't watch NXT, have no clue who Ciampa is. They have no clue of his previous history with Johnny Gargano and how they're taking that tag team and that eventual rivalry and applying it to the main roster, right? But of course, even after overcoming a brutal knee strike to the face from Ciampa, Montez Ford was able to get the win by counter movement, by hitting him with counter movement and pinning Ciampa. So afterwards, Ciampa was irate and attacked Montez until Angelo Dawkins made the save. Then Johnny Gargano tried to play the peacemaker, but Ciampa went after Dawkins. And then after shoving Gargano to the mat, once again Ciampa left to avoid the Motor City Machine Guns. As I said, the winner of this match, Montez Ford. And the thing is, Montez's agility is amazing. The way he can clip the top rope on a dive, with plenty of room to spare. And to see him shine in singles matches is just definitely a sad reminder that WWE has a chance to push him as a single star several times, and they haven't done it for whatever reason. Whether it is by his own choice or whether it is by Triple H not really believing in him, what the case is. It's just like, I know the petition is still there to push Montez forward no matter what. It's like I say, he has the potential to be the singles breakout star, to be the Shawn Michaels of the group, to be the Bret Hart, Booker T, Edge, whatever. But and especially I would say his biggest breakout performance as a single star was that Elimination Chamber match back in 2022. Ever since then, we have yet to see any other, sort of, other like breakthrough performance from him, if you will. That along with that match he had with Roman that Friday night. But the biggest thing coming out of Friday Night SmackDown was the final segment, as we see yet another Bloodline Civil War meeting, between the OG Bloodline and Timu Bloodline. So at this point, Timu Bloodline has their fifth member being Bronson Reed. And so at first, the OG Bloodline obviously was unsuccessful in getting Seth Rollins, but I knew that was going to happen. And I've already shared my thoughts and feelings about, as far as how I feel about Seth Rollins, being the gaslighter that he is, right? And so, of course, I wanted to, like I said, I went to just complete, just promo mode last week about that in terms of how I felt about it, and I was like, nah. As a matter of fact, it was best. It was best that Seth Rollins was not selected. You know, um, so like I said, they met 5 before in the middle of the ring, but Solo said he wasn't there to fight because he loved all of them. Yeah, whatever. He offered them a chance to join his bloodline and be a family again. But before Roman could respond, we hear the wise man Paul Heyman's voice echo through the arena. And he came out to a huge pop. And Heyman definitely had a tan as well. Uh, but of course, and of course, last and the thing is, um, previously when Roman made that call to Paul Heyman, the phone was disconnected, right? And as and of course, as I said before, that was great storytelling. That was great cinema as far as I was concerned. But to hear and see the wise man, make his return, it was great. You know what I mean? So we're, and going into this, there are a lot of people who thought, excuse me, that the fifth member for the bloodline for War Games will be Brock Lesnar. Naturally, by name, they'll come off as a great choice, but because it's too soon and Brock's name still has mud all over it because of because of his attachment with Vince, and this investigation is still going, still looming. And with the way that WWE wants to steer clear of having affiliation with him, it was wise that Lesnar was not selected. So instead, Paul Heyman goes with another OG Heyman guy, and as no other than Chi-Town's very own CM Punk. So Heyman brings CM Punk to be the fifth man on Roman's team, and it just chaos just erupted. Just everything just like I said, just went completely haywire. Everybody just lost their mind when they saw CM Punk come out. So Punk's music continued to play as they all took out the new bloodline, while the crowd cheered, as the crowd cheered for every single strike. So this was definitely the biggest moment of the night, obviously, and to hear CM Punk say that he acknowledged Roman Reigns, but at the same time, he told Roman to never forget who the OG Paul Heyman guy was, right? And Punk's not wrong, So if anything, I would say that Punk's definitely a much better choice than Seth Rollins. Punk was definitely a much better choice than Seth Rollins, just because of Seth's previous history with Roman, and how that's just a combustible element right there. And it amazes me that this past week was the 1-year anniversary of CM Punk's return to WWE at War Games in Chicago, right? And it amazes me that night that all Punk did was come out and sit down on the floor like he did with the pipe bomb, and Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre both completely lost their minds, to the point where Drew was so irate that he stormed out the ring as soon as he heard Punk's music, and as soon as Punk came out, right? Meanwhile, Seth Rollins was just completely unhinged, to the point where he just kept flipping off Punk with the middle finger, just like repeatedly. But the fascinating thing about that is Seth Rollins has no problem getting under Roman Reigns' skin, right? He has no problem at all doing that. But yet, when it comes to CM Punk, he met his match. Seth Rollins was being Roman's antagonizer, getting under his skin, looking for looking for ways, like looking for ways and doing, and saying things to um, try to embarrass Roman, especially going into that 2022 Royal Rumble match. He was just playing mind games with him. But yet, as soon as Punk arrives, Rollins is the one that becomes unhinged. Seth is the type of guy that can dish it, but he can't take it. As great as Seth Rollins is, don't get me wrong, he's a tremendous performer. He's a terrific performer, no doubt. But it was great to see, someone get their kryptonite. Apparently CM Punk was Seth Rollins' kryptonite, and to see Seth, just like I said, just get completely unhinged like that is almost hilarious, right? And to see someone like CM Punk bring just the absolute worst out of Seth Rollins, Seth went from being, cool, calm and collected, Joker / Riddler, if you will, to Roman, to just being completely unraveled the night of Punk's return, right? And if anything, this adds even more sort of gasoline to the flame of this rivalry between Rollins and Punk. Pretty sure Seth Rollins looking at Punk like, how dare you team up with Roman? But but at the same time, just like why would Seth Rollins of all people really care about that? Because of the fact that CM Punk is an enemy of his. Same with Roman. So they're two guys that genuinely are teaming up together. So why would you even be even be fazed by that, right? So as I said before, as I said before, I've already shared how I felt about like I said about Rollins going off that tirade the way he did, but But as far as that, as I said before, Punk is definitely Punk was definitely the better choice, if you will. Right. So now the OG Bloodline team up has been finalized. You have Roman, Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk versus Solo, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Bronson Reed for the men's side of War Games. Next up, now we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw, the Monday Night Raw that's the go-home show before Survivor Series War Games. And the main event is a Women's War Games advantage match between Nia Jax and Bianca Belair. The winner would have the advantage for the Women's War Games match. Hence, that's why they call it the advantage match. I'll have to say, right, first of its kind, if you will. So Monday Night Raw took place at the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. So at the beginning, we see WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Bianca Belair is in the building with Naomi. We see Women's Champion Nia Jax, who's ends up battling Bianca later that night. Of course, as Nia arrives, we see her we also saw her with Tiffany Stratton, and Luke Kaiser shown going to the ring as he battles Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker in a non-title match. We see the War Raiders, excuse me, the War Raiders battle the Judgment Day for the World Tag Team Championships. And of course, then here we go. World Heavyweight Champion Gunther addresses Damian Priest ahead of Survivor Series War Games. As Gunther makes his way to the ring, he talks about as this Saturday at Survivor Series War Games, he's going to defend the title against former champion Damian Priest. And Gunther defeated Priest to win the title at SummerSlam, of course. And we see Jackie Redmond in the ring with Gunther, and she wants to talk about his match against Damian Priest Survivor Series, but first she wants to address something that happened last week. Last week on Raw, Gunther tried to blindside Damian Priest only for Priest stop his attempt to take him down. Like that segment altercation backstage. Excuse me. Of course, Jackie Redmond says that Gunther's time in WWE has been nothing if not nothing short dominant ever since a rare loss against Cody Rhodes and Crown Jewel. We've seen a different side of him. Damian Priest says Gunther is no longer the confident champion who never loses. Of course, what's Gunther's response to what Priest says? The crowd loudly just boos Gunther, and of course, Gunther paces around and just looks exhausted. Before he says anything, Damian Priest heads to the ring to a massive ovation. Of course, Damian Priest tells Gunther not to let him interrupt him. And Gunther tells the world how easy it'll be for him to beat Damian Priest. Gunther can tell the world how easy it'll be to beat him, but then instead he says nothing. Then, of course, Damian Priest tells Jackie Redmond to give the microphone to Gunther because he wants to say the champion, as he said, who is set and will say anything to his face. So, reluctantly, Jackie hands the microphone over to Gunther and leaves the ring quickly. And Damian Priest, says Gunther's trying to make it seem like old Gunther's back, but they both know it's not true. That Gunther used to have a killer vibe and no one would make a move on him. Priest says maybe the pressure of being a champion got to him, and Damian says he understands, but he wants the pressure back. Of course, Gunther's accomplished a lot. Priest knows why he is the way he is. Saying that Gunther's likely never had to deal with a problem like Damian Priest. Remember saying that Gunther, worked the silver spoon in his mouth, basically. The Survivor Series problem is going to take the championship. And of course, what happens to the ring general when he loses to a guy from the street, loses to a guy from the Bronx? Gunther just sneers at him, just looks at him angrily. And of course, Damian Priest invites him to talk away since this is a segment. Gunther approaches Damian Priest, holds the microphone to his mouth, and he drops the mic and turns back to leave. Gunther turns and of course, only from the blind side, Damian Priest hit him in the head twice with the microphone. Of course, he continues to punch away Damian Priest. Then eventually Damian pushes him off, but Gunther hits him with the big boot to knock him down. And then Gunther just set him off as he's just fired up and just throws Damian out the ring. The ring general hits him with the short arm clothesline on the floor before clearing out the commentary table. And of course, that's when the referees run down. Damian Priest grabs Gunther and sends him to the ring post. Priest punched away Gunther before putting him through the commentary table with the Razor's Edge. That's when Priest grabs the World Championship and holds it up over Gunther before throwing it down on him. And Gunther's just lying there, just broken. As Damian walks up celebrating, maybe a sign of things to come for Saturday's War Games. Who knows? But then we have a backstage segment with WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Bianca Belair warming up backstage. Warming up when Naomi approaches her. Naomi asks her how Jade Cargill is, aka Sis. Naomi asks Bianca how Sis is doing, namely Jade. And Bianca says that that Jade won't return for a while, but the injuries are bad. Side note: Jade Cargill suffered a neck injury, and so this was their way of writing her off, right, until she recovers. At the most, they're talking about 3 months, right? As I said, Bianca tells Naomi that the injuries are bad, and when they figure out who did it, then they'll take that person out. And Naomi says they need to figure out who the fifth member is going to be. The fifth member is going to be in War Games. Io Scott walks up and suggests Kairi Sane, but Bianca isn't sure about having any more damage control in the match. But then again, who can blame her, right? Rhea Ripley walks up this time with a blackface mask, protecting Orville Saga. And of course, Rhea says whoever they choose needs to carry their weight and stay out of her way. Then Bianca asks Rhea's calling Team Rhea if she has ask her if she has any suggestions. So Rhea Ripley doesn't really care as long as they leave Liv Morgan to her. Then Bianca just scoffs at his leadership, or lack thereof, since she carried the team in the War Games Advantage match. And then, of course, next up we see the LWO make their way to the ring. Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee are going to battle American Made next up. And this is definitely a great match right here. LWO versus American Made, aka the Creed brothers, Brutus and Julius Creed. And when I say that the Creed brothers definitely have Kurt Angle's DNA, same with Chad Gable. When you want to talk about Kurt Angle's wrestling offspring, if you will, in terms of wrestlers who are heavily influenced by him. You look at Chad Gable and the Creed brothers as prime examples. In this match, it's Exhibit A of that. They definitely took it to Rey and Dragon Lee. Matter of fact, Julius Creed even whipped Rey Mysterio first to the turnbuckles. The Creeds attacked Dragon Lee and whipped him hard into the turnbuckles as well. And then, of course, then pull him up and Irish whip Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio. And when I say that, like I said, the Creed brothers are just, they are definitely amazing to see. American made, if you will, right? And so the things that these guys do as heavyweights at like 235 pounds and stuff, it's remarkable. They were holding their own against cruiserweights, especially a cruiserweight legend like Rey Mysterio. Come on now, the Creed brothers remind me of the younger Steiner brothers, and this match was another. I think that this match was a prime example of that. Long story short, the winners of this match, American Made, thanks to Chad Gable's interference by twisting Rey Mysterio's mask. But other than that, the Creed, American Made showed that they are not chumps at all whatsoever. They're not to be played with. So the energy that they had at NXT, they keep that same energy on the main roster. So to this match, like I said, it's definitely no different. Then we end up seeing the Judgment Day Clubhouse. It's the World Tag Team Champions Finn Balor, JD Dunner backstage with Women's World Champion Liv Morgan, a bodyguard Raquel Rodriguez, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, and Carlito. R-Truth walks up and says he needs a place to hide from Butch, Pete Dunne. Finn Balor says R-Truth needs a place to hide from him if he doesn't leave. Truth says they're not family anymore. Thanksgiving is all typical R-Truth, segment where this dude acts like he has like dementia or something. Then Finn Balor calms Carlito down and says the time for fun games is over. Liv Morgan needs the advantage in War Games. Since Dominic could stop Damian Priest, Finn Balor says he says he's on track for the World Heavyweight title. Then we have Dirty Dom and Carlito almost lost to the World Raiders last week, but of course they softened the World Raiders further, making them good team players. Finn Balor says the teamwork is going to keep the Judgment Day as tag team champions for 154 days and counting. Then of course Liv and Raquel will leave working as victorious, as they say. Great. And of course, Finn says it's going to be a great week for the Judgment Day. There are no leaders but winners of Finn Balor. They're one big, happy, successful family. So that was Finn's warm-up speech, if you will. The next step, we have a non-title match. WWE Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker versus Ludwig Kaiser. The winner of this match by way of disqualification, Ludwig Kaiser, because of Sheamus. And there was even a spot in this match where Braun Breaker's momentum, almost got in the way. Because as he was running the Kaiser full speed ahead, Kaiser got out the way, and Braun ends up hitting the announce table. I was like, oof, man, but Braun's momentum is just top notch. From the very beginning, Braun Breaker immediately just displays his power on moving Kaiser to the corner, and of course, he hits him with shoulders in the midsection. He ends up sending Kaiser flying with an overhead belly suplex, and so on. So of course, like I say when it comes to when it comes to Braun Breaker's unreal athleticism, I mean, it is definitely to be studied. And so, like I said, winning by DQ with Kaiser, especially with this being a non-title match anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Let's see. Sorry about that. Then there was a video from last Friday on SmackDown implying the CM Punk return. Punk's been confirmed as the fifth member of the original Bloodline of Survivor Series War Games. You see Captain Kelly backstage with the Usos and Sami Zayn. She asked about the return implying the CM Punk. So Sami says they were shocked. They were ready to go into match final 4, but now they have CM Punk. Punk is definitely a very complicated guy, but everybody knows him as he has a complicated history with Roman. Punk and Roman Reigns going to sit down and talk on Friday. Sami Zayn wants to trust Punk, but the question is if they can. And Jimmy Uso says the wise man is vouching for Punk. Now they just need the 8 man to win the War Games Advantage match against Jacob Fatu on Friday. Jey Uso is fired up and says that he will. So we have Jey Uso versus Jacob Fatu for this upcoming Friday SmackDown. Next up, we have the World Tag Team Championship match the Judgment Day versus the War Raiders. And the winners of this match, and still World Tag Team Champions by pinfall, the Judgment Day. With Finn Balor and JD Bobblehead as the tag team champions. Meanwhile, as the New Day turns, if you will, and you could definitely see trouble in paradise, no pun intended, between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods backstage. Xavier says he wants to squash the last few months because he loves Kofi. Then Kofi says he's proud of what they've done. The next week they celebrate 10 years, and now they show the world what the New Day is all about. Right. Next week they face Alpha Academy. Actually, I'm sorry that next week, but of course the match with Alpha Academy came up next. So next up we have the tag team match with New Day versus Alpha Academy, led by Otis and Akira Tozawa, and winners of this match, Alpha Academy. Akira Tozawa tags in and hits Xavier Woods with the Sky High Senton Splash for the win. And afterwards, this is when things really got messy. This is when things really got up. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods are arguing in the ring about how fast his defeat was. Then Xavier shouts that he's supposed to be the quarterback and then walks off. And that's when Kofi follows him backstage, back in gorilla position. It's a little bit before that. And Kofi chase after him, and he is furious. I don't think we've ever seen Kofi this furious, ever, if not in a long time. So the camera follows them through gorilla position, and it's out into the hallway. Then Woods says that Kingston's wrestling like garbage. Ouch. Kofi Kingston says he's done nothing but help Woods. Kingston gave him his Intercontinental Championship and kneeled while he was king of the ring. All Woods has done is fumble title shots in the crown. Of course, case when Roman took the crown and stomped on it. Anyway, of course, he says there's a reason why he and Big E never. And of course, Kofi says there's a reason why he and Big E never let him call the shots. Says he was too reckless. Then Woods says that he remembers when Kingston was too terrified to take a risk. Then Xavier says he's the reason Kofi became champion. Then Kofi has to remind them that he was a Hall of Famer when Woods asked him to join him. I mean, you look at Kofi's pedigree, look at his resume. If anything, I would say he's the most decorated member of the group. So if you want to talk about somebody who's who's a star, going to the faction, was the biggest one was definitely Kofi Kingston. His resume speaks for itself. Former Intercontinental Champion, U.S. Champion, and Tag Team Champion, right? So his credentials tell no lies. By the way, shout out to Stephanie Hardy, She said that Kofi could tell a joke. Kofi may tell a joke, but he won't tell a lie. Kofi is known for being a prankster, for being a jokester, but a liar is not. A liar he is not. So he told 0 lies about it, right? So then, it's it. So that was Kofi's way of reminding Xavier that he shouldn't be talking about championships and titles, as Woods has never won a single championship by himself. It's the truth. Woods was not good enough to be a champion like him and Big E. So he's in that this is not Kofi's fault. And Xavier was just furious to hear that. He says he was good enough to fight for Kingston and take his beatings. He says that they believe in Kingston and turn into Kofi Mania. So Xavier's taking credit for Kofi Mania, pretty much like he's Dr. Frankenstein or something. So he wants to take credit for Kofi's rise, success, and Kofi Mania, things like that. And then this is where Xavier really, really hit below the belt. When he said that, when he said that Kofi Kingston then pissed it away in 6 seconds to Brock Lesnar. Ooh, that's a burn right there. Kofi says it was with anyone else. And then Woods asked if Kingston would actually get mad if it was somebody else. Is they're face to face? Kingston says he'll see him in the ring next week. Then they fiercely separate. I mean, that was a low blow. That was definitely a kick in the crown jewels to bring up that Brock Lesnar loss. I mean, that was utterly humiliating, right? And for Xavier, to hit him with that kind of low blow. Next Monday, shoot, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to be glued to my seat, because this is going to be a ride, like for real, seriously. And we see the Finals husband backstage. Miz says the last 6 are in the arena. Karrion Kross asks if they saw the Miz. The Kross tells Scarlett to stand back, and they make the Miz come with them. And Scarlett looks in the mirror, and Sister Abigail's in the background, and she's just horrified. Then next up, we see behind the scenes footage of CM Punk's return, last year's Survivor Series on YouTube. Of course, that's currently on YouTube right now. I'm definitely going to be seeing it pretty soon. But other than that, Miz said he certainly saw the Y6 before, and Karrion Kross says that they'll find him soon. And Pete Dunne asks if they've seen R-Truth, but they blew him off. They're not going to knock on their locker room door, but there's no answer. They walk in, the locker room is ransacked. Scarlett's terrified, says Nikki Cross did it. On the mirrors, it's written lipstick. Everyone has something to lose. So it's a very grim reminder, for the Final Testament, pretty much to count their days. And also to emulate, to copy what SmackDown has done with the Women's United States Championship. Adam Pearce reveals another mid-card women's title, and that is the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. I know that this, online is caught its fair share of criticism, just because I guess the depth or lack thereof, if you will, on the main roster, and just trying to figure out what to really do with this, especially when we have the women's tag team titles, and one of the only other solutions would be eventually to retire the women's tag titles, so that so nobody would be tied up in a tag team, and they could go after the women's IC title on Raw, just like how they could go after the women's US title on SmackDown. In terms of who's going to be the inaugural women's IC champion, only time will tell. The only thing I would say would be for them to have a tournament. But anyway, I will say that the belt does look pretty nice, especially with the white strap. that's pretty cool. That's my favorite IC title because of Shawn Michaels. But it's another story. Anyway, of course, backstage we have a segment with women's champion Nia Jax with women's world champion Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Tiffy Time, and Candice LeRae. They're on the War Games team. And so of course, Nia says the War Games over when they lose in this advantage match. It's going to be about squishing Bianca Belair. They're going to have the advantage and win. And this is where we go into a match with Bianca and Nia. And I'm going to say that this was definitely an absolute great match, And for Bianca to pick up Nia and give her the press slam off the top rope, I mean, that's like I said, that's a testament of Bianca's strength. I know she tried to hit the KOD initially, but had some struggles with it, if you will. But of course, as the bell rang, Nia Jax just quickly ran Bianca over, and then she threw Bianca across the ring, just avalanche, and then of course was Bianca to the corner and charges, but of course Bianca sidesteps. Then she attacks. There's 10 punches in the corner. Jax pulls out the corner, but of course she escapes. Bianca jumps to the second rope and tossing Nia Jax before hitting her with the back, hitting with the back flip, right? The typical Bianca spot. She drop kicks Jax out the ring. And of course, that's when Bianca jumps off the apron, but the Nia catches her and drives into the ring post twice. But of course, as it came back for the break, Bianca snapped Nia off the top rope. Of course, that's like I said, the gorilla press slam spot. And so it's fun. So sorry about that. I mean, as a matter of fact, Nia Jax even got a German suplex. And of course, Bianca flips to back suplex and flips to a back suplex and side steps her. And so, I mean, like I said, this match was absolutely amazing. It got to a point, got to a point where Nia was going for the annihilator, but Bianca, pushes to the apron. And of course, Bianca tried to power up for a suplex, but Nia just shoved her off. Then she goes up to the middle rope. But I mean, like once again, middle rope is which usually goes for the annihilator, but Bianca cut her off. And actually, this is the part where Bianca pressed Nia and slammed her to the mat, like some good press slam spot. So, I mean, that was just unbelievable. For her to pick up, a woman of Nia's size for that press slam spot off the rope and onto the mat. Then Bianca hit his handspring, a handspring standing moonsault, and I mean, of course, I hit her with a near fall, but Bianca couldn't believe it. And then Nia Jax, Bianca hits her with a small drop, and she climbs to the middle rope once again for an annihilator, but only for Bianca to pop up, and then she is Nia with the German suplex off the middle rope. As Nia goes down, she rips the top turnbuckle pad off. As Belair goes for a near fall, then she pushes Nia to the corner, goes for a KOD, but Nia gets out. Then she just avalanched Bianca to the exposed turnbuckle and threw her right across the ring. She avalanched Bianca again to clear up the commentary table, delivers a small drop onto the table and gets to the ring, but the table doesn't break. And of course, Nia's looking for a counter, but Bianca just moves way too quickly for that. And of course, she goes out and drives Belair into the steel steps. As Nia pulls onto the turnbuckle, Bayley pulls it down to the exposed turnbuckle, and of course that leaves room for Bianca to hit Nia with 450 to win the War Games advantage match. As Bayley, looks to redeem herself, if you will. I mean, she looks at Bianca Belair and just nods as the show comes to an end. So everybody wants to know what everybody wants to know what this whole what that nod was all about, right? And I know there's definitely going to be a excuse me with anything. I know that there's definitely gonna be more to that nod. Uh, by the time if anything, by the time we get to War Games and beyond, especially with everything that transpired as it pertains to Jade Cargill and this huge mystery, if you will. This storyline is definitely going to become a thriller, if you will. And also, there was online, Charlotte had this, some slide. Charlotte posted this video, kind of like almost like a little vignette, if you will. We saw this this ice breaking, or at least it showed, it showed this ice breaking, and it looked like a diamond or something, and if anything, I guess that was her, like a hint of her teasing her return, and so as we all know, Charlotte's all about the diamonds. You know what I mean? So if anything, that could be a teaser of her coming back. And Charlotte's name has been attached to this whole Jade Cargill fiasco right now. And next up, we're going to go into NXT. I'm going to do a quick recap of NXT because I want to go into the predictions for War Games. And I'm not going to be long-winded about it, if you will. So like I said, of course, we're going to the results for last night's NXT, and don't be surprised if a certain final boss makes a cameo because of what happened with his daughter Ava. And shout out to Shawn Michaels for stepping up, and like I said, shout out to HBK for stepping up and making sure to check on her. But I'm going to go into that in a minute. But of course, like I said, the NXT took place last night as they're building towards the final pay-per-view of the year for NXT, which is Deadline, right? NXT Deadline, the end of the year, that type of thing. And they're still reeling from the massive result of the main event last week as Andre Chase, but the fate of Chase U once again, but he lost it to Ridge Holland. So Ridge Holland is the guy that has destroyed Chase U. He has a habit of destroying things, if you will, as Trick Williams mentioned. So now Ridge Holland is the number one contender for Trick's NXT Championship. How would all those involved react? In the latest Iron Survivor Challenge qualifying match, Ego, of course, we saw All Ego or All Entitlement Ethan Page face Axel, while Julian Klein Jordan Lockup for the first time. We see Fallon Henley defend the Women's North American Championship against Teddy Paxley. Tony D'Angelo puts the North American Championship on the line against Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears with a goofy mohawk, like an evil pretty wrestler. But anyway, other than that, we see an Iron Survivor qualifiers match. And the winner of this match is All Entitlement Ethan Page, as he qualifies for the men's Iron Survivor Challenge. And as we saw multiple tag teams watch the match backstage, and of course we said Axel move, go like this. Like I said, it was a great match in itself. And so the tag team divisions definitely have been funneled out to remind the champions that everyone wanted a shot before another brawl started. And by the way, the NXT parking lot has got to be one of the most dangerous parking lot on earth. And of course, the brawl continued in the parking lot. That's a recurring pattern, if you will. And the officials intervened. After a car had been destroyed with multiple men, being thrown through windows and stuff. Like I said, that's the NXT parking lot. If anything, that needs to be a stage on the next WWE 2K game. You know what I mean? So, if anything, that should be a challenge how to survive the parking lot. And so, of course, the brawl continued inside even after NXT General Manager Ava announced the number one contenders battle royal for next week. Then we see Lola Vice versus Ren Sinclair, and the winner of this match by way of pinfall was Lola Vice. Then we have the North American Championship match with Tony D'Angelo versus Shawn Spears, and of course the Don of NXT, Tony D'Angelo, defeats Shawn Spears by way of pinfall to retain the NXT North American Championship. Backstage, we see D'Angelo tell Rizzo that the rest of the family is busy with business and will not come out for this contest. Then Brooks Jensen praised Shawn Spears' perfect strategy to get a title match, and it was the chairman entered with his chair and a very unique red mask, if you will. Then we have the Iron Survivor qualifier match, Julia versus Kalani Jordan. Great match, by the way. Was the winner by way of pinfall was Julia. She advances for the women's Iron Survivor Challenge. So of course, and things during this match, we see the Prodigy and current NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez closely watch backstage, to see what type of competition that she has on her hands. And of course, next up we have the segment with Trick Williams. He's talking about he promised that Rich Holland would not win the NXT Championship because it would mean the end of the brand. Trick Williams reminded everybody, what NXT was all about, and what he and former NXT alumni have built. It just reminded everybody, how NXT was built, and just remind everybody about who laid the foundation for the NXT that we know now. Was names such as himself, Ilya Dragunov, Braun Breaker, and of course that he had to hesitate by mentioning his former tag team partner, eventually rival Carmelo Hayes, right? But at the same time, of course, Trick had to be honest, because of the fact that this was the house that he, Mello, Braun, and he, Mello, Braun, and Dragunov pretty much all built, and how and just talking about how Rich Holland doesn't care, doesn't care who destroys or what he destroys, and so we was talking about that. I thought about how Rich Holland has a habit for destroying things. Case in point, Big E's in-ring career at this point. But right now, Rich Holland's definitely doubling down, and he's embracing that side of himself at this point. Of course, he comes out and says he said he doesn't care if NXT was destroyed. He's just merciless and ruthless at this point, so it doesn't even matter to him. Then Rich Holland gets interrupted by none other than surprise, Eric Bischoff via satellite, as he advised both men that he would be at NXT next week, and he would stir the pot between them even more. And it's especially when Rich Holland talked about controversy, and Bischoff said, "Wait a minute, hold my beer." You know what I mean? Because it's the same guy that wrote the book Controversy Creates Cash, and so who knows about controversy better than Bischoff himself? The guy that his biggest claim to fame was beating WWF for 83 weeks straight in the ratings, with pioneers of controversy, the NWO, right? So as far as that, there's definitely a pretty odd escalation tactic for Trick versus Ridge after he sacrificed Chase Hughes to get Ridge over. So of course it's a difficult situation with Wade. As it's gonna, everything's gonna come down to what happens next week. So is Bischoff gonna add more stakes to a personal title match, or is it gonna be a distraction from a very clear story? So only time will tell. But this is where things really went crazy. Is the backstage able to took an inadvertent shot in the midst of the chaos with Eddie Thorpe? Eddie Thorpe tried to talk to again. Of course, only for Ava to get knocked down, knocked down during the brawl, with the door hits her, and she ends up falling. So then, so of course after Shawn Michaels checked on her, this is like the old HBK just jumped out, and he, like the old HBK definitely jumped out, and Shawn snapped and pushed Eddie Thorpe twice. I mean, it's completely threatening its own belief. And so don't be surprised if the final boss, either he shows up next week at NXT, or an entire army of Ava's bloodline shows up and pays a visit to Edward Thorpe. You know what I mean? Next up, we see Andre Chase packing up his stuff in the box and walking away from Chase University. And so as far as also, also by the way, X-Pac also promised to appear at the Performance Center next week. And of course, on Twitter, X-Pac says, "Hey, Shawn Michaels, next week's NXT show looks too good to miss. I'm coming to Orlando to watch it live." And that's what's going to come out of that. Next up, we have the Women's North American Championship match, the main event: Fallon Henley versus Tatum Paxley, and the winner by way of pinfall, and still your Women's North American Champion, Fallon Henley. Only for the return of Gigi Dolan as well. As we all know, that Gigi Dolan and JC Jane definitely have quite a history to explore, dating back to the time of Toxic Attraction, right? So things definitely were really shaping up even more and more heading into NXT Deadline, right? But the main event of this, of this episode that I really want to talk about, especially, actually, you know what? Let me go into my War Games predictions. As I said, as I said in the very beginning of this episode. So let me go into the War Games card, the official card for War Games 2024. This card, 2024 Survivor Series matches. We have for the men's War Games match, we have the OG Bloodline with Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk versus the Timu Bloodline, the new school bloodline, if you will. And of course, like I said, the new school bloodline led by Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa, along with Bronson Reed. And so for this, I want to pick the OG bloodline, but there's a part of me that thinks that the new bloodline, new line cinema, some people call them Timu bloodlines, they call them, may end up getting the win just to further solidify themselves as the supreme faction, right? And it's especially with the OG bloodline, I don't really, it's not too much of a rise in power. So I'm thinking that this could be a swerve where, with the whole time, The Rock reveals himself to be the mastermind behind this new bloodline, right? And so that way we could have, we could really have that the fast track leading to Rock versus Roman, because at the end of the day, this is what everything really has to be all about, especially with The Rock calling himself the final boss. Battle, for tribal chief supremacy, if you will, between him and Roman. How originally we could have had that WrestleMania 40, but as we all know, with the internet and the Cody Crybaby thing and all that, they had to call it audible, but because it's Las Vegas, this is now or never at this point, right? So yeah, so if anything, I can see, let's see the Timu bloodline really being the winners, with The Rock showing up, especially since he made his debut with Survivor Series anyway. But yeah, other than that, like I said, as far as that next up, we have a World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther versus Damian Priest. I'm thinking the Ring General could end up winning. So I'm going to go with Gunther on that one. Now the women's War Games match: Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair Bailey, Naomi, and Io Sky versus Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, Candice LeRae. For this one, I am picking Team Bianca, Team EST. You know, just because from skill to skill, talent to talent, Rhea and Bianca's team is just way too top heavy, and yeah, they're definitely way too dominant. Even of course, even with uh, Jade being replaced, you know what I mean? Like they still, like I said, there's still, in my estimation, too much firepower. Um, unless Rhea and Bianca, you know, uh, come to blows some way or another, whatever. But in the end, like I said, I have Rhea, Bianca, Bailey, Naomi, and Io winning this match. Right. Intercontinental Championship match, Braun Breaker, triple threat match, as Adam Pearce, confirmed it on Monday. Braun Breaker versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser for the Intercontinental Championship match, triple threat. I see Braun Breaker walking out as still the IC champion. Then you have the United States Championship match, LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm picking Shinsuke to become the new United States champion. So those are my predictions. And so last but not least, it is time for me to go into my review of Kendrick Lamar's latest album, GNX. I heard this thing from top to bottom, from beginning to end. It is absolute masterpiece. Masterpiece is absolutely amazing. Some of my favorite songs. It starts off strong with Whacked Out Murals. You know what I mean? Of course, now there's the video for the song Squabble Up. Great video, by the way. It's amazing. It's hilarious. There's a lot of references. Like I said, a lot of Compton references. References to Ice-T's Power album. If you look carefully, there's an Isaac Hayes reference in there. Minister Society, you name it, right? So this album's a love letter to LA. That's really what it is. As if Kendrick's career is not a love letter in and of itself, but this one, especially in particular, right? By the way, I'm wearing a Dodgers hat, by the way, especially since it's a song he has called Dodger Blues. It's a great song as well. I like the Luther Vandross homage. It's literally titled, the song is literally called Luther. Of course, it's a duet with Miss SZA. Man at the Garden has definitely has a Nas One Mic sample. The instrumental at the beginning, I'm like, this sounds just like One Mic, and its cadence is the same thing. Reincarnated, Tupac sample. There's another song. Let's see. I want to say it was TV Off, I believe it was. One of those. There's a Biggie sample, and as a matter of fact, TV Off. Everybody gone crazy on that Mustard. I'm like, I can't even look at Mustard the same way no more. Like it's become a meme. And the thing is, the instrumental sounds like Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super, like Tournament Power or something. Like, Like you can tell Kendrick's a fan of anime. On the low. Like the Heart Part 6, the SWV sample. I think this is probably it's probably his most sample heavy album maybe like I've ever heard, right? And the funny thing is, Not Like Us is not on this album, right? So he ran Drake into the ground, throughout the summer. Would Not Like Us, he was like, nah, I'm not gonna put that on now. That was just for the sake of trolling, and just like I said, just digging an even bigger grave for Drake. Drake's already digging a bigger grave for himself right now. This so stupid lawsuit. And the first rapper to ever, as I said before on Facebook, the first rapper to ever report to HR after losing a rap battle. Like, come on, like this lawsuit kills his credibility even more. So, but yeah, like I said, as far as that, but other than that, like I said, we're pretty much from top to bottom. This catalog is absolutely amazing. Let's see. Real quick. Do not want to be long-winded about this. So, see if Abbott is on. No, it's not. All right, Abbott. I'm just not on. But yeah, like I said, Whacked Out Miro, Squabble Up, Luther, Man at the Garden, Hey Now, Reincarnated, TV Off, Dodger Blue, Peekaboo, Heart Part 6, GNX, and Gloria. Like, that is the playlist from 1 to 12. So I would say if I had to rank this among Kendrick's catalog, I would say it's probably fourth, if not like as far as that, if not third altogether. So it's Pimp a Butterflies, number one, Good Kid, Mad City. I would say the album Darn. Let's call it that. Then I'll go with GNX. GNX and in that Darn album, let's call it what it is. Like between 3 and 4. And then fifth, I will go with Big Steppers. And then sixth, go with Section 80. So that's how I would rank Kendrick's discography. And the impact that Kendrick has now, in my estimation, is enough to escalate him firmly into top 5 all time. At least in my estimation. You look at the likes of Tupac, Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, and Kendrick is in that top 5 spot now. I think that's solidified. I mean, like I said, he was a legend even way before this beef with Drake. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, congratulations to him for the Super Bowl. Super Bowl halftime performance. He definitely earned it. He says it's hard work. Our irony is hard work. They've let Lil Wayne down, whatever. This, that, and third. But yeah, like I said, as far as that, K. Dot is the king right now. This is Kendrick Lamar's world, and we're all living in it, right? So now, as far now it's time where I go into the birthdays. On November 25th, NFL Hall of Famer, legendary Vikings wide receiver Chris Carter turned 59. On November 26th, CNN's Abby Phillip turned 36. And as a matter of fact, also on November 26th, the late great Hall of Famer Tina Turner would have turned 85. On November 27th, Jimi Hendrix would have turned 82. The British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith would have turned 62. Bruce Lee would have turned 84. As far as November the 28th, as far as that, November 28th, Big Cat Ernie Ladd would have turned 86. November 29th, Mean Gene Okerlund would have turned 82. JBL turns 58. Wilkins from the Java Tears turns 37. And November 30th, Naomi turns 37 herself. So that is it for birthdays. And so before I go, I would like to give a word of wisdom, and that it's that God gives instructions through the authorities in our lives, and so of course, be very discerning of what the authorities that God's placed in your life tell you. So the thing is, the Bible says the heart of the king is in the hands of the Lord. And so, and that's why, and also another thing is, it's imperative to hear God's voice when it comes to, major decisions, especially when it comes to marriage. But yeah, like I said, as far as that, like I said, word of wisdom is that God gives instructions through the authorities in our lives. And of course, I like to say that that you are victorious because greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. When you put God in first place, you don't have to worry about being in last place. Please make sure to listen to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else that you download podcasts. You can watch this live on YouTube as well. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. And may this day be the very best day of your life. And once again, have a happy Thanksgiving.